Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will attempt to replicate a store-bought sweater with some necessary fit improvements. I've had this sweater for over a decade. My dad bought it for me one Christmas over 13 years ago, and it has been a cherished piece in my wardrobe ever since. The only problem is that I don't like the fit. With my ever-improving knitting skills, I finally feel confident enough to tackle this project. The sweater has a circular yoke with a simple zigzag colorwork motif across the body and sleeves, just below the armpit split. The yarn is a bulky weight wool and acrylic blend, and as with most store-bought sweaters, it is constructed bottom up and seamed. Here are the fit issues I'd like to address in my handmade version. 1. The yoke is shallow and it cuts into my armpits. The neck opening is too wide and it stretches even wider with wear. And the body is somewhat fitted, but also awkwardly long. The yarn I'm using to recreate this sweater is the Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock Worsted. I knew this would knit up at a smaller gauge than the Inspiration sweater, but I wasn't worried because I knew the lighter weight version would be more comfortable to wear. In total, I had 2 150 gram skeins of the color Highland Fleece and 3 150 gram skeins of the Gravel Road color. This should be more than enough to complete this project. I'll be using the Knitter's Handy Book of Top-Down Sweaters by Ann Budd. This will help me with all of the specific stitch counts and construction. I decided to cast on for a sweater with a finished bust of 44 inches. This will give me about 5 inches of positive ease. So the book does not include short rows for the circular yoke, so I added 6 German short rows that were spaced 7 stitches apart to slightly raise the back neck. Once they were completed, I proceeded with the rest of the yoke instructions. And once the yoke was finished, I added the neckband so I could try on the yoke before splitting for sleeves and get a more accurate fit. Oh, thank God. And I started the collar with a pearl round because I thought it would look cool, but it didn't look that cool in the end, but I didn't hate it enough to reknit it, so I just went with it. Everything was looking good overall at this point, so it was time to figure out the color work. Looking at the inspiration sweater, I measured the distance between each peak of the zigzag pattern, and I noted that they were about 3 inches apart. So based on my 5 stitch per 1 inch gauge, this translated to 15 stitches from peak to peak, which translated to a pattern repeat of 14 stitches long. And at this point, I had just had to make sure that my total body stitch count was a multiple of 14 so that the colorwork repeat would fit. And I did this by adjusting the number of stitches that I cast on under the arm. I started the colorwork immediately after splitting for sleeves, and I knocked it out in one evening. I decided to try the ladder back jacquard technique for the first time, but I think my setup round was a little bit too tight because there are some pretty noticeable holes where I started, like where I set up the ladder back jacquard. I also had some tension issues in the overall colorwork. In my experience, my fear of the colorwork being too tight causes me to overcompensate by making my stitches absurdly loose, but I crossed my fingers that blocking would fix these issues, but I wasn't sure it would. After the body colorwork, I just had to knit straight stockinette in the round until the body reached my desired length, and I measured the length of my Friday tee, which was about 22 inches from shoulder to hem, and I aimed for the same length in this project because I'm really happy with that fit. When I measured just before starting the ribbing, I had about 20 inches of length. I finished the body with about 2.5 inches of twisted rib and an Italian sewn bind off, just like the collar. If this project has taught me nothing else, it's that I really dislike knitting twisted rib. Normally, I would work through the current ball of yarn and hop over to the sleeves before finishing the body. However, these 150 gram balls have a lot of yardage, so I didn't get the opportunity during this project specifically. The sleeve count was not the right number, so there's a small section under the arm where the color work breaks, and similar to the body, I jumped right into the color work where the stitches were picked up. After the sleeve color work, I knit a few inches straight until the sleeve length reached my elbow, and then I tapered the sleeve evenly until reaching the cuff. I was aiming for a moderately fitted sleeve along the entire arm. I finished it the same as the body with twisted rib and Italian sewn bind off. Then of course, I did it all over again for the second sleeve. All the knitting was complete, I weaved the ends and did an unblocked try on, and then I wet blocked the sweater and laid flat to dry. For stockinette sweaters, I don't bother pinning it out usually, especially if I'm happy with the fit before blocking. And with non-superwash, I knew the overall size wouldn't change dramatically with blocking. I just really wanted the fabric to relax, specifically the color work, and for everything to drape nicely. Here's the finished sweater after blocking. The only deviation from the inspiration sweater is the twisted rib instead of moss stitch at the neck. Otherwise, I replicated all other elements to the best of my ability. And as we can see, the holes from the ladder back jacquard did not disappear with blocking. I'm still on the fence on what I want to do about that, but worst case scenario, I'll go back and fix it with some duplicate stitching. But for now, this is how it looks. Here's a quick view of the sweaters side by side. How did I do? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. This project took me about 5.5 weeks. I started on October 30th and finished on December 7th. But it is worth noting that I took about a 2-week break on this project to focus on a secret preview knit that I had to work on. But in total, I used 370 yards of the Highland fleece color and 673 yards of the gravel roll color. I have quite a bit left, so I might try my hand at making a matching hat with the leftover yarn. Overall, I'm really pleased with the outcome of this project, and I'm happy to have this sweater back in my wardrobe. You may be wondering what I'll do with the store-bought sweater that no longer fits. I'm actually not sure. I could harvest the yarn and repurpose it with a new project, give the sweater to someone that can fit it and will wear it, or donate it and hope it finds a good home. Let me know what you would choose. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!